It was an evening like any other. At least, that's how it began. I stood at the kitchen counter, gently stirring a pot of stew, the comforting scent rising with the soft simmer. In the background, the television mumbled through the living room, its sound blending with the occasional clink of utensils. Daniel, my husband, lay on the couch, his focus fixed on his phone, occasionally pausing to share some trivial news snippet. To anyone else, it would have seemed like a perfectly normal night, unremarkable in every way. But inside me, something long unsettled was shifting. I had carried a quiet storm within for months, maybe longer, its presence growing heavier each day, fed by everything I never said out loud. I had imagined this conversation countless times, crafting the words with care, turning them over and over in my mind. But when it finally came, they escaped me in a different form. Daniel looked up, his voice light, almost playful, asking if I wanted to watch a movie after we ate. I turned to look at him, and something cracked. I didn't shout. I didn't cry. But in that moment, a dam I had fortified for years gave way. So much had changed between us. Once, I had loved her with a fierce and consuming passion. But slowly, quietly, that passion had been dimmed, not by betrayal or violence, but by neglect. He hadn't stopped loving me in an obvious way. He had just stopped seeing me altogether, like I had become part of the furniture, always there, always quiet. His presence filled the house, but emotionally, he was long gone. I switched off the stove. The sound of the burner faded, and I wiped my hands on a towel before walking to the living room. I sat beside him on the edge of the couch, heart pounding yet oddly steady. His eyes, familiar, once mesmerizing, met mine. I didn't shout. I didn't accuse. I simply said, "You haven't asked how I'm feeling in over a year." Silence settled around us like a thick fog. His brow furrowed, his lips parted with a half-smile, as if trying to turn it into a joke or brush aside. But I didn't smile back. I just looked at him, letting my words hang there. Slowly, something in him shifted. The smile faded. He set his phone aside, sat up straighter, searching my face for more. But I didn't add anything. That one sentence carried years of silence, of aching loneliness in a shared bed, of nights spent crying while he slept, oblivious. His voice, when it came, was soft. "Why didn't you ever say anything?" he asked, not unkindly, but with a faint edge of self-defense. I held his gaze and replied just as softly, "I did, just not in words you ever chose to hear." Then I stood and returned to the kitchen, every step deliberate, my emotions tightly reined. There was no dramatic confrontation, no yelling, no accusations hurled, just a heavy stillness that filled the space between us. And for the first time in so long, I felt truly seen, even if only for a brief instant. He didn't call out to me. He didn't follow. Minutes passed before he stood, grabbed his keys, and walked to the door. The quiet click of it closing echoed louder than any slammed door ever could. I waited a while, half hoping he'd return, that he'd come back with something to say. Anything at all. But the door remained shut. He didn't look back. He didn't ask questions. He didn't fight for us. And it was that silence, that lack of urgency, that cut deepest. Not the words spoken, but the effort never made. I understood then. It wasn't my sentence that broke him. It was the truth he had always sensed, yet chose never to face. The reality that had hovered between us for years, without ever being named. That night, I sat alone at the dining table, the stew untouched and cooling, the quiet in the house more complete than ever. But I wasn't afraid. I felt hollow, yes, but not frightened. Speaking the truth had cost me, but it had also set me free. Days blurred into weeks. The silence between us remained unbroken. No messages, no missed calls, no explanations. Just a void where once there had been life. I thought of him sometimes, wondering if he replayed that moment, if he saw my face as I finally spoke my truth. But even if he did, it no longer held power over me. Some relationships don't unravel in fire and fury. Some dissolve slowly, eroded by neglect, until all that's left is a single sentence strong enough to expose the cracks. He walked away without looking back, and I didn't stop him.